Chapter 214. Both Tan Shuangshuang and dogs are prohibited. For Tan Shuangshuang's face paled. What she hated the most was being embarrassed by others without any valid reason. Although she had a romantic relationship with Lu Yuqin for many years, she had never slept with him. Why does everyone want to bully me, given that I'm just a weak woman? Yuqin. Tan Shuangshuang bit her lip hard. There were tears in her eyes. Lu Yuqin's heart hurt. He did not care about where he was. He gritted his teeth and made a vow. Shuanger, I'll definitely marry you. I'll give you a proper status to be by my side. He would not allow anyone to gossip about her reputation anymore. There was a sudden commotion at the entrance of Paramount. Lu Yuqin could not help but frown and look toward the entrance. That moment, his eyes showed great shock and helplessness. A girl was standing at the entrance. How was one to describe her? The girl was slightly plump, and one could say she had a full figure. But her eyes were bright, and her skin was fair. Her appearance was captivating. The only shortcoming she had was that she was plump. It was only a little. There were not a lot of people who were as fat as Feng Ruqing. She would surely be a captivating beauty if this lady could be slimmer and have a more prominent feature on her face. Lu Yuqin felt that this girl looked familiar. He could not remember where he had met this girl before. Yuqin. Tan Shuangshuang saw a flash of admiration in Lu Yuqin's eyes. She quickly tugged at his sleeve anxiously. Now, she had lost the Tan family's protection. All she had now was Lu Yuqin. She could not allow any other woman to seduce him. That lady was not as slim as her. However, her features were very prominent and beautiful. She even made her less pretty standing there next to her. Moreover, she could invoke this kind of response in Lu Yuqin, even with her plump body. What if she were as slim as Tan Shuangshuang? Would Lu Yuqin's eyes ever fall upon her again? This was the first time Tan Shuangshuang felt the danger of losing Lu Yuqin. Tan Shuangshuang never had this kind of threat even when she had encountered Feng Ruqing before. It was because Feng Ruqing was so obese that nobody would ever fall for her with that plump body. But the woman in front of her was nothing like Feng Ruqing. She could not help but be alert at that moment. Which family is that lady from? How come I have never met her before? Lu Yuqin frowned. He looked at the girl's bright eyes. There was a flash of light in Lu Yuqin's eyes. Slimming down would be very difficult for her in the past. But recently Paramount had offered a herbal dish which could help people to slim down. Chapter 215. The shock felt by Lu Yuqin. Lu Yuqin's head went blank after the shock. Princess? Feng Ruqing? Absolutely impossible. How can this pretty young girl who has captivated others be the plump and fat princess? But the two palace maids who were standing next to the girl are indeed the palace maids who had always been beside Feng Ruqing. Paramount's lobby fell into a loud silence. Lu Yuqin's legs became heavy. They were heavy like lead, and they weighed him down. His breathing became heavy too. He walked toward Feng Ruqing in the silent lobby. Lu Yuqin, what are you doing? Lu Li frowned and stood in front of Feng Ruqing. She gave a warning look to Lu Yuqin. If you dare to come near the princess, His Majesty will never forgive you. Princess? Lu Yuqin stopped walking. He laughed out loud. His laughter was like the laughter of an insane person. It was as if his laughter could somehow help to calm him down. Did you say that this girl is the princess? Everyone knows that the princess is the most obese person in Lu Yun Kingdom. This girl is just plump. It's impossible that she's the princess. I won't believe it. The princess I know is only a fat person. She would never be the beautiful girl in front of me. Lu Li, back off. The sudden voice subsided Lu Li's anger and calmed Lu Li down. But this voice was a heavy blow to Lu Yuqin. This clear voice is my nightmare for so many years. Feng Ruqing. This beautiful girl with bright eyes is indeed the princess. Lu Yuqin could not stand straight. There was a mixture of admiration, shock, and helplessness in his eyes. He used his long fingers to hold onto a chair beside him. It seemed that he had used up all his strength on all the emotions he felt. Why? She could just be anybody. But why was it Feng Ruqing? A woman whom he had treated like a nobody and had left behind. Yuqin. Tan Shuangshuang's slender figure trembled, but her steps were strong. She walked toward Lu Yuqin and held on to Lu Yuqin. Then, she smiled at Feng Ruqing. Princess, congratulations. You've finally slimmed down. Feng Ruching raised her eyes and looked at the two people in front of her. She had come to Paramount because of business and never thought she would bump into them there. Was it fate? Or were Lu Yuqin and Tan Shuangshuang just unlucky? It seems that Tan Shuangshuang is healing in a good way. Feng Ruching smiled. It looks like Lu Yuqin is going to marry her soon. I'll congratulate both of you here. Finally, you can be a loving couple. Feng Ruching was sincere in wishing them. Tan Shuangshuang and Lu Yuqin are a couple. They would not go and harm others after they marry each other. It's good. It's wonderful. Tan Shuangshuang paled. Feng Ruching knows what happened to the Tan family because of what she has done. Feng Ruching even knows that Chancellor Lu would never let me in. But she wanted to disgrace me just by saying this. Princess. Tan Shuangshuang's eyes narrowed. I know that you hate me. The Tan family is burdened by me. However, Princess, please do not go on and harm the Lu family. Chancellor Lu has worked a lot to achieve what he has now. Tan Shuangshuang's motive in saying this was to indicate to Lu Yuqin that Feng Ruching was a wicked and evil woman. They were not sure whether Feng Ruching would harm Chancellor Lu or not. Chapter 216. The shock felt by Lu Yuqin too. Lu Yuqin did not bother about Tan Shuangshuang. He fixed his gaze upon Feng Ruching. If Feng Ruching could slim down earlier, they would probably not be at this stage. But why now? Why had she appeared like this when they reached an impasse? Did she do this just to make him feel bad and regret what he had done? Yes, she had succeeded. He did regret it. At first, he should have understood. Feng Ruching was not the same woman who would always cling on to him and make trouble wherever she went after he found out that she had changed. But Lu Yuqin was always disgusted by her plump body whenever they met. If she were like this from the beginning, he could have accepted her. It would not have been that difficult. Yuqin. Tan Shuangshuang realized that Lu Yuqin was still staring at Feng Ruching. She was very anxious. She bit her lip hard. There were tears in her eyes. Do you not want me anymore? Her voice was sad, and it showed deep grief. Finally, Lu Yuqin regained his senses. That's right. The person he loved the most was Shuanger, no matter how Feng Ruching had changed. Shuanger had sacrificed a lot for her. How could he just abandon her? He, Lu Yuqin, would never do such a thing. Princess. Lu Yuqin smiled slightly. Are you looking for Shuanger, and I here? Feng Ruching looked at Lu Yuqin in confusion, her brows furrowed. Did I come here for you and Tan Shuangshuang? Why don't I know about it? Lu Yuqin lowered his eyes. He knew what he did to her in the past was too much. It almost killed her. It was only normal if she hated him now. Princess, I know that you hate Shuanger and me, but Shuanger has paid for that. I just hope that you will let bygones be bygones. Feng Ruching looked at Lu Yuqin calmly. Her voice was neither cold nor calm. Nobody could guess what she felt now. Lu Yuqin, you're wrong. I have never hated you. Not before, not now. She just hated Feng Ruching and noble consort Rome. She loathed all the people from the Lu family. It was because of them that the original owner suffered a tragic end. Moreover, her mother's death was somehow related to them. But she had never hated Tan Shuangshuang and Lu Yuqin. These two people originally loved each other. They had suffered a lot because of what the previous owner had done in separating the two of them. But the original owner had paid with her life. Thus, Feng Ruching did not hate them. Similarly, they should not feel guilty. We're divorced now. They could go ahead and marry each other. Whatever happens next is none of my business anymore. I've decided that I would never be bothered about them after I come to this land. But they are still foolishly wanting to mess with me, even though I have ignored them every time we met. If not, I was definitely not going to punish Tan Shuangshuang and dismiss Grand Tutor Tan before he had a chance to go into the palace. I do not mess with anybody if they did not mess with me first. If they dare to mess with me, I'll not let them get away with it. I'm not that weak. Do you not hate me? Lu Yuqin was stunned. His voice was filled with disbelief. How come you don't hate me? You treat Shuanger like this every time we meet. Is this not hatred? Feng Ruching smiled. Her smile was bright and captivating. It was like the sunlight in spring. It lit up the whole world. Chapter 217. The shock felt by Lu Yuqin thrilled then. I'll just ask you one question. Did you ever see me calling after you out of my own initiative? You're always messing with me when I ignore you. The smile in Feng Ruqing's eyes faded, and it was replaced with coldness. I explained it well in the notice. It's Feng Rushuang who claimed that you're good and nice in front of me. Thus, I started to admire you. But soon I discovered that you're not meant for me. You even have your own lover. Why do I still have to cling on to you? It's you who has messed with me first. I, Feng Ruqing, am not a kind person too. If you've wronged me, for sure, I'll do something in return. Why do I have to tolerate your behavior? Lu Yuqin's body froze. It sounds logical. Feng Ruqing was not bothered about Lu Yuqin anymore since she woke up the other day. He thought that Feng Ruqing was just playing fast and loose with him until he saw how Feng Ruqing looked at the state preceptor. In fact, Lu Yuqin knew that Feng Ruqing did not love him anymore since that moment. Every argument happened because Lu Yuqin had started to mess with Feng Ruqing first. The incident that had happened at the spirit herb shop was a good example too. His mother had told him about the whole incident after they had returned to the Lu residence. It happened because she had called after Feng Ruqing first. From the beginning until the end, she had never come running after him. Lu Yuqin was having mixed feelings now. He never wanted Feng Ruqing to cling on to him. But now that he knew that he had finally gotten rid of her, he felt some bitterness in his heart. It seemed that a thing which was his and was always circling around him had disappeared now. Tan Shuangshuang looked at Lu Yuqin, who was deep in thought. She felt nervous, and she quickly grabbed Lu Yuqin's hand. But she used too much strength, and Lu Yuqin soon recovered his senses. Lu Yuqin. Feng Ruqing looked at Tan Shuangshuang before turning her gaze upon Lu Yuqin. She smiled slightly and said, I don't understand at all. I've said everything clearly. Why do you still think that I love you? Why do you think that the reason I punished Tan Shuangshuang was because of the fact that you love her? Lu Yuqin fell into deep thought again. He still thought Feng Ruqing loved him because Tan Shuangshuang had always told him that Feng Ruqing's hatred toward her was because of the love Feng Ruqing had for him. Hence, Lu Yuqin had always felt that he had wronged Tan Shuangshuang. He felt guilty toward her, and he hated Feng Ruqing even more. Now, he discovered the whole truth after he knew that Feng Ruqing no longer loved him. Was Tan Shuangshuang leading him on all this while? No. Shuanger was always naive and kind. She would not do such a thing. Princess. Tan Shuangshuang was very anxious now. She clenched her fists tightly, and there was a smile on her pale face. I see, Princess, you've let go of Yuqin long ago. I always think that you have not forgotten about him because you've done so much for him. There were even some extreme events which you have done before. Now, I know that I've misunderstood you, Princess. The underlying meaning was that Tan Shuangshuang did not simply make the assumptions. She had those assumptions because of the extreme things Feng Ruqing had done before. Lu Yuqin soon felt relieved. His Shuanger was kind and nice. She wouldn't do such a thing intentionally. It was all because of what Feng Ruqing had done before and her sudden decision in giving him up. Shuanger did not intentionally make those assumptions. Chapter 218. The jealous Tan Shuangshuang. It seems that you're not only stupid but your sense of hearing is bad too. Feng Ruqing looked at Tan Shuangshuang condescendingly. She seemed overbearing and looked sideways at her. I can't wait for you to become Lu Yuqin's wife. Why would I mess with you? Tan Shuangshuang's face became pale. Her eyes were vacant. She looked at Feng Ruqing without any facial expression. Moreover, Lu Yuqin is not a good man. His appearance and features are normal. He has a bad temper. His strength is weak too. Even his intelligence is low. How bad of a taste did I have to become the lady of the Lu family before? Compared to him, the state preceptor is beautiful and handsome beyond words. His figure, it could seduce anyone. He is gentle, and he always treats others in a friendly way. His strength is unknown, but it must be very powerful. How blind was she to go and cling on to Lu Yuqin before? The people in Paramount made their comments at the sidelines. Feng Ruqing. She had also fallen for Lu Yuqin's beauty before. She had used a lot of tactics just to be married to him. Who knew that she would look down on him after she had woken up? Everyone saw how drastically Lu Yuchen's facial expression changed. His face turned from blue to white. Then, it turned from white to blue again. It was like a dye house with all the colors mixed together. But Lu Yuchen's gaze never left Feng Ruqing. It made sense. Feng Ruqing was obese before. Nobody would admire her because of her plump body before. But she had slimmed down and changed a lot now. Furthermore, Lu Yuchen had always loved beautiful people. The concubines Lu Yuchen had in the Lu family could never compare to Feng Ruqing. Of course, he was regretting. Besides, you did not even greet and bow to me when you see me. As a son of a minister, where are your manners? Feng Ruqing was overbearing. It made Lu Yuchen's body freeze. He was still in a deep shock. He had forgotten about manners. Now that Feng Ruqing had reminded him, he could not help but bow down to her. Yuchen greets the princess. Qingling looked at the princess. Princess, you've allowed him to talk for so long standing there in front of you. Now, you mention his manners. Isn't it too late? Feng Ruqing could not be blamed for her ignorance. She came from Huaxia. She did not put emphasis on manners too much. If not, her 2 palace maids would not be that rude in the princess manner. But one must teach him some manners given that Lu Yuchen is this kind of person. Feng Ruqing raised her eyes and looked at Tan Shuangshuang. She soon found no desire to talk to Tan Shuangshuang. She used both of her hands to press against Tan Shuangshuang's back heavily. One never knew whether she was intentional or unintentional. Her hands made contact with Tan Shuangshuang's injuries, and Tan Shuangshuang screamed in pain. Then, Tan Shuangshuang kneeled down on the ground under Feng Ruqing's force. Tan Shuangshuang lowered her eyes, and there was resentment and unwillingness in her eyes. Feng Ruqing could act wantonly because of his majesty. If Feng Ruqing was not the princess, if him in Feng Ruqing's position, they'll definitely do much better than her. I could even make the whole world belong to Lu Yun Kingdom. Feng Ruqing is still a villain, although her appearance has changed. She's just a good-for-nothing person who knows nothing. Qingling, Lu Li, if there's anyone who accuses me of clinging on to Lu Yuchen again in the future, just let the snow wolf bite them. Qingling was stunned for a while. But didn't you send the snow wolf out? Feng Ruqing thought for a while. That seemed to be true. It had not returned, and it had been 10 days now. Then just let Big Bear go and beat them up. I won't allow anyone to tamper with my reputation. Chapter 219. The jealous Tan Shuangshuang 2. What if the state preceptor still thought that she was still in love with Lu Yuchen and refused to marry her? Then who will be responsible for compensating her for such a handsome state preceptor? What a pity. Qingling, Lu Li, feel free to order anything that you like in Paramount. They'll foot the bill. Feng Ruqing waved her hand and said generously. She was too lazy to pay attention to the 2 people who were kneeling. After all, she owned all the herbal dishes as Paramount would pay half of the profit to her. No matter how much she ordered, half of the gain would go in her pocket eventually. Lu Li had no comment on Feng Ruqing's generosity. As for the previous 2 months, she was the one who had been dealing with the elders in Paramount. She took every prescription that the princess had given her to Paramount. So she knew well that Paramount and the princess had a very close relationship. Many thanks to your highness in rewarding us with herbal dishes, Lu Li said respectfully. As Tan Shuangshuang looked up, she heard Feng Ruqing's bold and generous voice. She suddenly sneered. The herbal dishes in Paramount were extremely expensive. No matter how rich was Feng Ruqing, she could not spend her money in such a way. She dared to say so simply because she did not know the price of the herbal dishes. Besides, Paramount was so disgusted with her even if she did nothing. With Paramount's quality of not fearing the power, this vicious woman Feng Ruqing would likely be kicked out. Tan Shuangshuang recalled what she had experienced just now as she looked at Feng Ruqing walking toward the waiter. There was a hint of spite in her hateful eyes. Any box room here? Feng Ruqing was in the front of the waiter. The waiter frowned. Before he wanted to say that the box should be booked in advance, and then he accidentally caught a glimpse of the jade pendant hanging from Feng Ruqing's waist. His eyes popped wide open. That jade pendant, doesn't that belong to the young master? How could it be in Prince's hand? That means the princess is the one whom the young master treasures? The waiter felt a chill down his spine. He felt lucky for not saying anything just now, or else he would have been banished from Paramount. All the boxes have been fully booked, but if your highness wishes so, I'll contact someone and deal with it to get your highness a room. Oh. Feng Ruching nodded slightly and said, "What's the price for the herbal dishes in Paramount?" She had just gotten out of her silent meditation retreat. Lu Li had not informed her of any of the market information. But seeing the crowds in Paramount, it could be assumed that the herbal dishes were famous enough. Cheap, cheap. It costs only 1 cent. The waiter smiled ingratiatingly. What a joke. Even though this Lu Yun Kingdom princess reputation was quite notorious, she was the one that the young master cherished. How would the waiter dare to make her pay? Feng Ruching was stunned as she turned around and looked at the waiter in confusion. The waiter swallowed hard as he lifted one finger, weakly. No matter how much your highness ordered, 1 cent will do? Feng Ruching's face turned dark. She gave Ju Ming, that kid, all the herbal dishes, and he had only sold it for 1 cent? How could she earn from it? The waiter looked at the silent Feng Ruching's pitch-black eyes as she was contemplating something. He almost cried because it was frightening. It's free. If your highness dining here, then it's free. Please let me go, your highness. How can I take your highness money? Let's hope the princess would not tell and complain to the young master, or else he would be dead. Free? Feng Ruching looked up and asked solemnly, "You guys who work in Paramount, do you want to make money, or are you doing charity?" Chapter 220. The woman who came after the state preceptor? The waiter was slightly confused. He figured out why Feng Ruching was angry after hearing what had Feng Ruching said. He quickly put up an ingratiating smile. Your highness is our honored guest in Paramount, so it's natural to make an exception for your highness. Only your highness has the privilege to enjoy this. No one else can. Feng Ruching's face began to look better. I, Feng Ruching, am not a person who can't pay. I'll pay for what it is cost. Do not make an exception for me. The money that was paid would go into her pocket anyway. Oh yes. Jiuming had also promised her that in the future, no matter if it were Spirit Herb Shop or Spirit Beast Court, she would be given half of the income from the shop's businesses. She would not be bearing any loss after doing the calculation over and over again. The waiter nodded and bowed. If your highness is so generous, then I would charge you as it is. Unlike some people, who just freeload without paying anything, who is also not ashamed to hook up with girls with such standard. The freeloader, Lu Yuqin, said nothing. Qingling, Lu Li, let's go. Feng Ruching did not look at Lu Yuqin and Tan Shuangshuang. It was as if those two people had nothing to do with her. Or it was more like, they could not get her attention. Lu Yuqin stared at Feng Ruching as she was leaving. A hint of complex feelings surged inside his heart. Perhaps from the first day they met, he had never thought that one day she would become so excellent. Tan Shuangshuang's face was tight. She clenched her fists tightly and even breathed heavily in pain. She had always thought that Paramount had a distinct identity where it feared no power. But she could not imagine that this Paramount was not that noble nor special. Just because Feng Ruching was the princess, Paramount had given her special service. If she could be Feng Tianyu's daughter, would Paramount dare to treat her in such a way? All of these happened because of birthright. The unfairness in her birth had caused her to always be suppressed. The woman that Zhuang Wan mentioned before. She's the princess of Lu Yun Kingdom. Her name is Feng Ruching, or something else. In the streets of Lu Yun Kingdom, a tiny and unkempt lowly was looking around. She pursed her lips tightly, and her gemstone-like eyes looked resentful. I would like to see which girl had seduced Brother Nancian. Last time when Zhuang Wan returned, she told her that Brother Nancian was captivated by a coquette from Lu Yun Kingdom. She wanted to see how the coquette looked like. How could she lose to that coquette, and why would Brother Nancian be attracted by her? A little girl was standing behind the lowly. She was a tiny jolthead, unkempt as well, and looked like a beggar. But, lady, why should we dress like that when you want to find young Master Nancian and the coquette? These clothes look very ugly. The lowly glared at her. Are you stupid? They don't let me out. If I don't disguise myself, What should I do if I get caught? The little servant said nothing. Little lattice words were so true as she had no words to reply. Qianning. Something flickered in the Lola's eyes. Tell me, if I found that coquette, then I can meet Brother Nancian, right? Qianning felt that her words made perfect sense. Yup, young Master Nancian never wished to see little lady one, and little lady doesn't know how young Master Nancian looks like as well. If we really want to find him, we can only find him through that coquette. Chapter 221. The woman who came after the state preceptor? To the Lola smile froze. Those words hurt. She felt as if her heart was stabbed and was dripping with fresh blood. Little lady. Qianning rubbed the back of her head in confusion. Did I say anything wrong? All I said was the truth, wasn't it? The Lola's heart ached. Please, enough. Would you shut up? She grunted and turned her head, arrogantly. Let's go and find out how to get to the Princess Manor. What was the big deal if Nancian refused to see her? What was the big deal if she had never met Nancian? She only knew that all the people were praising Brother Nancian. He had a good temper, good personality. He was strong and good-looking as well, the one who excelled in anything. Especially the fact that he had a good temper, which simply struck a chord in her heart. Also, people had said that she would be the one to marry Brother Nancian in the future. That was why she wanted to take a look at the girl who had attracted Brother Nancian, to know how she looked. To protect her love, she immediately grabbed a passerby and asked, Hey, do you know how to get to the Princess Manor? Feng Ruching was satiated as she walked out from Paramount and got dragged by a little unkempt thing abruptly. She was stunned at first, but slightly smiled as she heard what the little thing was asking. I know the way. Lolita was delighted. Really? Could you please bring me there? Feng Ruching examined this little thing for a good while and chuckled. Okay. She walked in front as Luli and Qingling followed next to her. As the lowly wanted to catch up, the jolthead next to her, Qianning, stopped her in a hurry. Little lady, this person has simply promised you. Could she be a bad person? Bad person? Lolita looked at Qianning in confusion. Qianning nodded seriously. I heard them saying that secular people are evil. They will catch us and sell us to the brothel, or even send us to the bad old men and make us their concubines. The more cruel thing is, they will cheat us of our snacks and forbid us to eat. Feng Ruching, the person who was walking in the front and was possibly going to cheat them of their snacks, said nothing. That little girl was 5 feet tall. Although her face was covered in dirt, it was evident that she was underage judging from her height. How much could she earn from selling an underage person? Lolita remained silent. But she really wanted to see that coquette. Don't worry, Qianning. Our snacks are stored inside the storage bag. She can't get it. Feng Ruching stomped her feet and kept on moving without looking back. She knew from her memories that such a storage bag was extremely rare in Songyu mainland. Lu Yun Kingdom had only one of the storage bags before. Father gave it to the imperial mother, but it eventually vanished with all the treasures inside. Since then, Lu Yun Kingdom had never gotten a storage bag anymore. This little young girl possessed the storage bag, which meant that she was not of a simple status. Such a cool little girl. What was her intention to look for Feng Ruching in Lu Yun Kingdom? After a while, Feng Ruching had reached the front of the Princess Manor. Qianning, the lowly, scurried up excitedly. She didn't lie to us. She has really brought us to the Princess Manor. When I see Feng Ruching, do you think I should show her my power and prestige? Or should I take out all the treasures from the storage bag and show off? Will she feel inferior? Will she shrink back? Chapter 222. The woman who came after the state preceptor? Qianning nodded earnestly. Little lady, I heard that even the grade 3 herbs are rare in the secular world. You can show her any of the spirit herbs and make her feel ashamed. Oh, by the way, little lady, try not to mention the word secular world when you are talking, or else the people who live in the secular world will know our identities. Feng Ruching, who lived in the secular world, stayed silent. It was sorry to say, but she knew it all. Besides, it was they who kept mentioning the words secular world, didn't they? Why are you still here? Qingning turned as she saw Feng Ruqing, who was standing at the door of the princess manor. She frowned and said, "You may leave now." Feng Ruqing ignored those two lunatics. She winked at Qingling and said, "Open the door."
Yes.
Qingling looked at that two loonies hesitantly as she turned and took out a key. Then, the door of the princess manor opened. Opened? The lowly was stunned for a while. When she came to her senses, she turned and looked at Feng Ruqing. "Are you from the princess manor?"
Yes.
Feng Ruqing was half smirking. Feng Ruqing. The lowly and Qian Ning were speechless. What did they do just now? They discussed and talked about how to psych her out, or to show off in front of Feng Ruqing herself? The lowless eyes were blank. Feng Ruqing's words struck her heart like a fist. She was so ashamed that she wished she could hide inside a hole. Oh dear, what had she and Qianning said? Those petty and ill words were nothing to speak in their absence. How could they be so unlucky that Feng Ruqing had heard it? This was so embarrassing for two of them. She blushed, but luckily her face was covered in dirt, so people could not notice it. To hide her panic, the lowly stared at Feng Ruqing angrily. "You're Feng Ruqing. Why didn't you say earlier?" Feng Ruqing threw up her hands, innocently. "You only asked how to get to the princess manor, but you didn't ask me who I am." "You!" The little lowly was getting angry. After thinking for a moment, she realized that it was true. So, she swallowed her anger and snorted. She was surveying Feng Ruqing with those sharp eyes. Strength, lower true warrior tier? That was too weak. Her face was bright but not gaudy and consisted of a feeling of transcendence, which was considered okay. Bah! What okay? She was here to deal with her, not to examine her. Shape, a bit plump but not obese. Does Brother Nancien like the plump kind? Breasts? The lowly looked at Feng Ruqing's firm breasts and then back at her skinny body. She blushed out of anger and clapped one hand to her bosom. She just hadn't developed completely. She was just a bit late, and there was still room for her to improve. She would definitely surpass her in the future. Feng Ruqing looked at the lowly, who was tightly pressing her own chest in wonder. The lowly, too, stared at her in rage. The way the lowly looked at her, it was as if she was a rogue. "Your Highness." Qingling noticed the lowly too, and she recalled what Feng Ruqing had done to them before. She asked weakly, "Could it be that you have teased this child before, so now the child is trying to get back at you?" Feng Ruqing turned pale. Even if she liked beauties, she would not go after a child, right? Or would she? This was definitely a false charge. The lowly felt something was not right as she wanted to retort Qingling at the beginning. As she caught her last sentence, her large eyes turned red and flashed with anger. Chapter 223. The woman who came after the state preceptor? For who are you referring to as a child? Am already 15. 15? I grow slower and I am a bit shorter, but am not a child. Feng Ruqing was such a wicked woman, accusing her as being a child so she could own Brother Nancien. Humph. She would not let her get away with it. "Princess, can it be true that you had really teased her?" Qingling was going to cry. The princess did not only give her love to her and Luli, but she also had another girl on the side. One, and that girl was coming back for the princess. She wanted the princess to be accountable to her. "Shut up!" Feng Ruqing suddenly shouted and stopped Qingling from crying. "Go ahead and tell me. Why have you come to me?" She squinted and smilingly surveyed this lowly. "If you are good-looking, I might accept you into my manor." The lowless eyes widened. What did she mean? Accept her? Suddenly, the lowly rolled her eyes as she lifted her chin, arrogantly. "I have decided to move into your princess manor." She had heard a lot of rumors about this woman from the beginning. Fat, ugly, vicious, tyrannical, and also divorced by her husband. She seemed a bit plump, but not to the extent of obesity. Fat was not quite accurate, but ugly, vicious, tyrannical, and the other rumors were enough to prove that how notorious this woman was. But how could Brother Nancien like her? Why? She had to stay until she could find out how she could attract Brother Nancian. It seems like you have nothing to say. Luli, throw them out. Feng Ruching dropped the words without looking back as she wanted to enter the princess manor. The lowly panicked. She quickly rushed into front of Feng Ruching and stopped her. Being 5 feet tall was a huge difference to Feng Ruching's 5 feet 7. It hurt her even more. I'm beautiful. I'm really beautiful. I just wanted to escape from my family, so I disguised myself. The dirt on my face, I covered myself with it. Really? I can wipe it away. I'm really good looking. Feng Ruching raised her eyebrows and said, Get out of my way. No, you have to keep me. They'll live here tonight. Feng Ruching was too lazy to pay attention to her. She walked past the lowly. The lowly grabbed Feng Ruching's thigh. Feng Ruching felt something heavy on her leg. She could not remove her leg from the girl's grip after trying several times. Her face darkened completely. Growl. Growl. The earth bear just came down from the back of the mountain. It noticed a little filthy thing hanging on Feng Ruching's leg. It growled twice and rushed toward Feng Ruching. Master's thigh belonged to them. Who was that little thing? How dare it try to take away their thigh one? Feng Ruching frowned deeper. The little thing was too strong as she could not free her leg after a few attempts. She did not care more, and just as she wanted to walk and drag the lowly along, a big bear suddenly ran over and jumped onto Feng Ruching. Usually, it would not have been a problem for Feng Ruching to evade that pounce. However, her leg was being dragged by a little thing, which apparently prevented her from escaping. She could only watch the bear rush forward and grasp onto her leg. Feng Ruching could even hear the sound of cracking bones in her broken leg. Beery! Beery stared blankly at Feng Ruching as it could feel her anger. It loosened 2 of its bare paws and stood aside, trembling. Chapter 224. The Tang family the earth bear could not understand why Master was not angry with this little filth who was grabbing her leg, but was enraged when the earth bear had only grabbed her lightly. It did not matter if Beery could understand what had happened. The thing was, its divine spirit fruits were going to be forfeited for the next few days. A week of divine spirit fruits. Feng Ruching inhaled a breath of cold air as she gritted her teeth. Beery felt even more upset when it did not even know what it had done. It looked at Feng Ruching pathetically. A week of divine spirit fruits. That was like taking the earth bear's life. Luckily, the earth bear knew some of the spots where Brother Wolf had hidden some divine spirit fruits, which could meet its urgent needs. And you, get away from me. Perhaps she was too angry, and the anger seemed to contribute her other leg endless power. She kicked and thrusted the lowly into the air. After a few times of loop-the-loops, she fell outside the door steadily. Qian Ning's eyes almost popped out. She was strong since a very young age. She knew better than anyone how strong she was. How could this so-called useless Feng Ruching be able to shake her off? Besides, from what she knew about the secular world, it was extremely rare that a 16-year-old person could break through true warrior tier. Even if it were the reclusive family, such talent was considered average but not useless crap. But after all, this was the secular world where it was different from the place they lived. A 16-years-old true warrior tier, that was considered a genius in the secular world. She really could not understand why everyone said she was useless. Qian Ning did not think much. She went to the front of the princess manor and lifted the lowly up. She asked desperately, "Little lady, are you okay?" The lowless eyes were red. No one had ever done that to her since she was born. She was really upset. She would not stop until she could enter and live inside the princess manor. Qian Ning, buy me the house next to it. If she doesn't want me to go to the princess manor, I will climb over the wall and keep an eye on her. She must find out why Nancian took a fancy to Feng Ruching. If she kept an eye on her every day, maybe she could find out her virtues eventually. And I want to dress myself up. They think I'm ugly and won't let me enter. So I want to dress up nicely. Maybe she might fall into my honey trap and let me live inside. Qian Ning was stunned for a while before continuing, "Little lady, don't you want to disguise and hide from them?" Those people in the clan are so stupid that they cannot even find me yet. Maybe their IQ doesn't allow them to find me. I don't care. You have to clean up yourself too. Two is better than one. Little lady stood up and lifted her chin arrogantly. She was still very confident with her looks. She would use the honey trap if the coquette fancied beautiful things. She would be hooked for sure. She would let her live and stay inside the princess manor. The space inside was broad. Besides the divine herbs sect that was brought in, there was still a vast space outside. But Feng Ruching could not explain why she had an indescribable feeling toward the divine herb sect. So, she decided to plant the medicines at the top of the hill behind the mountains of the divine herb sect. It was a pity that the spirit beasts could not enter the medium. She had to plant all the herbs on her own. Although Fu Chan and Qing Han had given her the prescriptions, they were not capable of planting it. Chapter 225. The Tang family too, she had to do everything on her own. Feng Ruching sighed in relief after watching what she reaped from what she had sown for the past few days. She wiped away the sweat on her forehead. Suddenly, she saw Fu Chan and Qing Han looking longingly at the hilltop, which was full of spirit herbs. A sense of danger rose in her heart just by looking at their gaze. How could she forget these two little kids? Fu Chan, Qing Han, if you eat up all of my spirit herbs, then… She squinted and sounded threatening. Fu Chan swallowed his saliva fiercely like a starving wolf. Even if the spirit herbs were not fully grown yet, he wanted to rush forward and eat it all up. Mommy, don't worry about us. We need to digest after eating. After we have fully digested, we don't need grade 3 spirit herbs anymore. Only grade 4 spirit herbs will work for us. Feng Rookings felt a little at ease after hearing that. She was so worried that all of her hard work would be eaten up by these two little kids, leaving not even one of the spirit herbs to her. Feng Ruching took one of the divine spirit fruits. She put it in her mouth and bit. This medium has plenty of spiritual qi compared to the outside world. Also, with the prescriptions of making the spirit herbs, this enables the spirit herbs to grow faster. What was more important was, she could plant many more of the divine spirit fruits and recruit more spirit beasts as slaves. After leaving the medium, Feng Ruching walked down the hill. She disappeared for a few days, going to the medium this time. She wondered if that little kid had already left. Feng Rooking's eyes seemed to show that she was in some deep thoughts as she thought of that little girl. Perhaps she needed someone from Paramount to investigate on this little girl's identity. At least she had to know what was the little girl's intention in approaching her. As Feng Ruching reached the courtyard wall, a little figure fell from above her head. She subconsciously evaded the falling figure by stepping aside. Bang! The little thing fell right in front of her feet. Little lady, are you all right? Qing Ning peeped from the other side of the courtyard. Suddenly, Feng Ruching jumped into her sight, and she quickly drew back her head. Oh no, little lady was trying to climb over the wall. Feng Ruching glanced at Qian Ning, who retracted her head like a tortoise. She looked down and sneered at the young girl who fell in front of her. Hey little one, have you come for me? Lolita was stunned. She had snuck into this place every day, and she was never found climbing over the wall. It was so unlucky of her to run into Feng Ruching on that day. How did you know it was me? She was unkempt a few days ago, but she was nicely dressed up now. How could the coquette know it was her at first sight? Feng Ruching surveyed the lowly in front with a faint smile. It's hard not to recognize your height. You? Though the lowly wanted to retort, she had nothing to say in time. So she bit her lip and said fiercely, Tangin, not some little one. Tangin looked furious. With that soft, fair baby face, she looked quite pretty and cute. Feng Ruching had seen quite a number of beauties. Be it Tan Shuang or Feng Rushuang, they were both stunning as well. Or else, one of them would not have become Lu Yukin's white moonlight one, while the other one would not become the moon of Lu Yun kingdom that was surrounded by a myriad of men. But those two, they were no prettier than the young girl who was standing in front. Chapter 226. The Tang Family 3. Indeed, Feng Ruching liked beautiful people, but those beauties she had seen were her enemies, so she simply could not like them. Besides, in comparison to Tan Shuang's delicate beauty, Tang Yin had a kind of spiritual beauty. Only that, Feng Ruching squinted. She really wanted to know why did this little thing come for her. Tang Yin, who the hell are you? Tang Yin was shocked. Was her identity exposed? No, Feng Ruching must not know, or else she would be kicked out and would probably never get a chance to know her merits. She gritted her teeth and lifted her chin, arrogantly. You are not qualified enough to know my identity. Are you curious about me? Curious about my identity? Then let me stay, and maybe you'll find out. Tang Yin suddenly thought she was brilliant. Oh, Feng Ruching simply uttered a word. She turned and left without looking back. Tang Yin was dumbstruck. That was completely different from what she expected. Don't go. Tang Yin chased after her in panic. If you don't let me stay, I will climb over the wall and look for you every day. I'm really good at hiding. No one in the Princess Manor has found out that I was already doing this for a few days. If you don't want me to harass you, then let me stay. Feng Ruching stopped walking, but it was not because of Tang Yin. It was because a female servant dressed in green had just excitedly rushed in front of her. She stopped in front of Feng Ruching. She seemed exhausted. Your Highness has finally returned from the mountain. Luli and I miss you so much. Speaking of which, the little girl climbed over here every day when you were not here these past days. I found out on the first day and had wanted to call Beery to throw her out at first, but Beery was busy in the mountain. The other spirit beasts, they were too weak to do so. She didn't steal anything but simply took a stroll and left. I decided to put it aside and wait until your Highness has returned. Tang Yin was tiny. She hid behind Feng Ruching so that she was completely blocked from Qing Ling's sight. When Qing Ling finished speaking, Tang Yin's face darkened as she silently walked out from behind Feng Ruching. Qing Ling was stunned. She has snuck in from the wall again? Feng Ruching looked up and glanced at Tang Yin's darkened face. She sneered. I thought you said that no one has found out that you climbed over the wall? Tang Yin was speechless. She was only trying to brag, and now what? What was the matter? Was bragging illegal? What was wrong? It seems like I have to blackmail Fuchin again. Feng Ruching caressed her chin. She needed a new strategic formation from Fuchin again. To prevent someone from entering the Princess Manor, or else it would be unsafe. Qing Ling, go and find Beery and ask it to throw this little thing out. Although this little thing was beautiful, she must not fall into her trap. Besides, even though she was good-looking, she would never be more good-looking than the state preceptor. It was not a big deal to tease this little girl if she was not a scoundrel, but it would be quite dangerous if she were. Tang Yin's face darkened. She humphed. You can't stop me. I will be back again. There were 4 kingdoms in Songyu mainland, namely Lu Yun Kingdom, Long Ao Kingdom, Yi Luo Kingdom, and Tianxian Kingdom. Those that were not on the list were the reclusive families who were way above the secular world. The Tang family was one of those reclusive families. Chapter 227. The Tang Family 4. At the moment, inside the chamber of Tang residence, a group of elderly sat in a circle. They looked solemn but calm. No news about Tang Yin yet? That little girl had a unique physique. They wanted her to rest behind the hills, but she was missing now. Even the people sent by the Tang family could not find any of her traces. Elder Tang 1. It's not that the Tang family's people could not find her. It is because someone is intentionally hiding her. So it's hard to find her. Tang frowned as he seemed to sink into deep thought. Who's the one that's stopping us from finding Tang Yin? Can it be that young Master Nancian has already known about this marriage, and he's reluctant to marry Tang Yin? So he killed her? If it were young Master Nancian's character, it was not impossible that he could have done it. The other elders looked at each other after Tang Yi had finished speaking. It can't be right. It was young Master Nancian's father who had arranged the marriage. If he killed Tang Yin, wouldn't he be afraid that that person would be enraged? Well, the people shuddered as they could not help but think about Nancian's inhuman temper. Actually, It's only normal that young Master Nancian doesn't like Tang Yin. Elder Tang Wu sighed and smiled bitterly. Tang Yin's parents are both dead, and she's not gifted. All of you say that she has a special physique, but all I see is that she falls sick every now and then. I see no merit in her. Elder Tang Yi, I really don't understand why you and Elder Tang Er would choose Tang Yin back then. Tang Wu is right. Tang San sighed as well. It doesn't matter if Tang Yin doesn't return. We can choose Lady Tang Yu, as she is the daughter of Master Tang. She's more suitable for the marriage. Tang Yin was not a direct descendant of the Tang family. Her father was the younger brother of Master Tang, Tang Luo. They had chosen Tang Yin to be married to Nancian because both of the elders of the Tang family had chosen her when the people had requested for a joint marriage. Tang Luo had no objection to this as well. It was my idea to let Tang Yin marry young Master Nancian. Our master has agreed on that as well. Send more people to look for Tang Yin later, and bring back Tang Yin to me no matter what. Outside the chamber, a young girl dressed in a purple shirt and silk skirt pressed her ear against the door. As she heard footsteps coming through the door, she quickly drew her head back and hid behind the pillar and held her breath. As the door opened, the group of elders who followed behind Tang Yi gradually disappeared from her sight. She clenched her fists tightly as her eyes were filled with anger. It was my idea to let Tang Yin marry young Master Nancian. Our master has agreed on that as well. Father agreed to that? Her father had agreed to marry the lowly to young Master Nancian. Tang Yu bit her lip as she frowned slightly in grief. Apparently, although she was her father's daughter, he handed this good deal to Tang Yin. What a pity. Tang Yu wanted the Tang family to hide Tang Yin's trace, as this would make it more difficult for the elders to find her. If Tang Yin were dead, she would be the only girl in the Tang family who was unmarried. No one would ever compete with her anymore. Tang Yu frowned as her vicious eyes sunk into deep thought. If she made the Tang family kill Tang Yin, it would definitely trouble her when the truth surfaced. Well, Tang Ye's eyes flashed coldly. That woman had sponged in the Tang family for such a long time. It was time for her to do something now. A person that did not even know who herself was. If it weren't because of father's protection, she would have been kicked out from the Tang family. Chapter 228. Mad Woman Eye Behind the Hill. It was misty like heaven on earth. Behind the hill, every corner was filled with magnolias. Even the cabin looked more fancy surrounded by the magnolias. Tang Yu walked to the front of the cabin. She stopped and her dull expression turned into a bright and innocent smile. She smiled as she entered. Aunt Rong, I've come to see you. A girl sat calmly at the window. Her fingers were just like scallions, long and thin. She wore an elegant, bright yellow, long dress, which looked noble, generous, and as graceful as a swan. She frowned a little as her eyelashes left a line of shadows. She caressed the doo-doo one with her cold finger, and she looked just like a beautiful painting. Her eyes were filled with tenderness only at moments like this. Also, she would only be as quiet as a maiden at moments like this. But Tang Yu knew well that this woman was crazy through and through. Shoo! Rong Yin looked up. Her eyes were filled with gentleness. She lifted her lips as she spoke in a very light voice. She was afraid that she would wake something up. Stop talking and look. My baby is sleeping. You mustn't wake her up or else I will be angry. Tang Yu felt something stuck in her throat as she clenched her fist tightly. This mad woman. What baby? It was only a doo-doo. This crazy person had lived at the Tang residence for 10 years. She had been by her side for 10 years, but she still could not replace the baby in her heart. This woman, didn't she have a heart? Oh yes, where's my son? Where has my son gone? Rong Yin panicked. She held the doo-doo in her arms and stood up, and grasped tightly at Tang Yu with another hand. She seemed like she was begging. Have you seen my son? Where has my son gone? Tang Yu was so mad that she wanted to push away this crazy person, but she eventually held back. She held Rong Yan's hand gently and kindly smiled. Aunt Rong, you're sick again. Don't you remember? Your husband and your son have abandoned you? All you have now is father and me. Rong Yin was stunned. What are you saying? My daughter is in my arms, my son. My son has gone out to play, and he will be back soon. Aunt Rong, father has been indulging you. So he did not tell you about your past and experience. Tang Yu sighed and looked at her, as if in pain. Your husband's family has abandoned you. That's why you have come to our Tang family. Look at the thing in your arms. Is that your daughter? Rong Yin looked down. Her head was hurting so much that she turned pale and held her head tightly. Rong Yin couldn't see clearly. She bit her lip so hard, it bled. She could not recall anything. She could not remember anything. Was she abandoned? By her husband and her son? But she did not know why she had always felt that she wouldn't be abandoned. Aunt Rong, Tang Yu hastily moved next to her. She held her up as she spoke softly and gently, her voice warm like the wind. Don't worry, father and I will never abandon you no matter what you have become and how others treat you. In my heart, you are just like my mother. Mother. This word completely cut off the string holding Rong Yin together inside her head. She fell backward and into Tang Ye's arms. Tang Ye's bright face suddenly darkened. She looked at the girl in her arms angrily and reluctantly held and put her on the bed. You have been living in our Tang family for the past 10 years. Father has planted all the magnolias behind the hill just because you like magnolias. And I have coaxed and accompanied you for 10 years. Besides me, who would call you mother? You are so stingy that you have only given me grade 3 spirit herbs when you actually have grade 5 spirit herbs. Chapter 229. Madwoman 2, the Tang family has raised you for so many years. You have been living off our family for 10 whole years. What's wrong with handing over your grade 5 herbs? Why do you only give me grade 3 herbs? Are you trying to give them to your children? What rights do they have? I was supposed to be the one inheriting that bag. Your so-called children never came looking for you all these years. They have obviously abandoned you. Why are you still so attached to them? My father has treated you so well, yet you wouldn't give yourself up to him in marriage. I really don't know how you still have the audacity to live here. She never wanted to accept this fox of a woman. Unfortunately, her father was too obsessed with her. If she had not discovered Rong Yan's bountiful treasures by chance, she would not have sweet-talked her all these while. Certainly, she had reached the level of a spirit warrior with the help of those grade 3 herbs. But the Tang family was kept in the dark. Therefore, everyone thought Rong Yin was leeching off the Tang family. After listening to words like these for a long time, gradually, she too had forgotten how she had mooched off the grade 3 herbs. Like the rest of them, she thought that Rong Yin was still scrounging off the Tang family. But then, Tang Yu knew one of Rong Yan's characteristics. She could not handle stress. Every time she was stressed, she would faint. This had been very convenient for Tang Yu to carry out her work. Found it. After a round of search, Tang Yu found a jade plate and was pleased. There were letters distinctly carved upon the jade plate. The Fengyun family. The Fengyun family. It was said to be a force that came out of the blue 16 years ago. In a short span of 6 years, the influence of the Fengyun family could be compared to those of the reclusive families, and that they were no weaker than even the Tang family. Unfortunately, the head of the Fengyun family disappeared 10 years ago. Even their own family members could not locate her. Although the family had lost their leader, they were still as powerful as the other reclusive families. What surprised Tang Yu was that Rong Yin was actually the leader of the Fengyun family. A few days ago, when she saw Rong Yin in deep thought while holding the plate, she sent people to investigate the Fengyun family. As she was born 16 years ago, she did not really know what happened then. Tang Yu was about to leave when she noticed the doo-doo that Rong Yin was clutching tightly. Anger rose in her. She raised her hand to grab the doo-doo away. Although Rong Yin was unconscious, her hands still tightly grasped the doo-doo. Tang Yu was unable to take off the doo-doo even after using her full strength. What an ungrateful bitch. Tang Yu huffed. Although she got close to Rong Yin for her hidden treasures, that did not mean that Tang Yu could stand her yearning for her 2 children. Whatever was on that woman must belong to her. Even the Fengyun family should be hers to inherit. The tighter Rong Yan's grasp, the stronger Tang Yu tried to pull. Her fingers were chafed and bleeding, but she still would not let go. It was as if the doo-doo was a representation of all her hopes. This madwoman, your kind heart must have been eaten by a dog. You are but an ungrateful wolf. Tang Ye's heart sank. She pulled out a silver needle and violently pricked Rong Yan's fingers. She was brazened because she knew that Rong Yan would not wake up. Every time that woman lost consciousness, she would have to sleep one whole day before regaining consciousness. Nothing could be done to wake her up during this period. Even if she did not wake up, she would still feel pain. If she were in pain, she would naturally let go. I really like the treasures in her bag. Very well, take your leave. Tang Luo gave Tang Yu a cold look. Don't make the same mistakes again. Tang Yu lowered her eyes. From the side of her eyes, she stared deathly at the doo-doo Rong Yin was clutching so tightly. Reluctantly, she muttered, "Yes, father." There was peace in the wooden house after Tang Ye's departure. Tang Luo lowered his eyes and gazed at the pale lady on the bed. With a bitter smile at the corner of his lips, he uttered, "Yenner, I will not let you leave my side. No one will ever come to harm you in the future." He would never forget how he caught a brief glimpse of the passing beauty. From that day on, the luscious figure had caught his eyes and made its way to his heart to stay for good. Chapter 231. Madwoman 4. At first, he thought he had no chance with a girl of such grace. Nobody knew that one day she would sustain heavy wounds after somebody had plotted against her. It was he who took her in and nursed her injuries. She wanted to leave even before her wounds had healed. He was afraid that he could never see her again. He was afraid that once she left, it would be forever. Therefore, before her wounds healed, he took matters into his own hands and erased all her memories. Unfortunately, she was strong-willed and stubborn. Even though she had lost all her memory, she tried to recall them, which made her mad. Tang Luo felt very guilty, but he knew that if he were to start all over again, he would still do the same. Yenner, in this life, I am all you need. You don't have to think of the past. I will stay with you forever. No one in this world loves you more than I do. If you have lost your child, then take Yuer as your daughter. Although she has made a mistake today, usually, she has always respected you. It did not matter if she had lost her memory. It did not matter if she had gone crazy. All that mattered was that she remained by his side. In the pleasure boat, Jiuming leaned lazily on the couch. In front of the couch, a songstress was playing the lute. Her voice was sweet like an oriole's, permeating the ears. As he gazed upon the songstress' countenance, Jiuming somehow remembered the mountain-like fat silhouette a few months back. That unscrupulous girl has gone to the first floor and didn't even come to see me. She was really heartless. He shared his future income from the first floor with her, and she would not even meet him once. Young master. Just then, a guard dressed in black came in from the door. He glanced at the songstress and dancers and said in a deep voice, "Sir, I have something to report." Jiuming nonchalantly waved his hand. The corner of his lips turned upward, giving out a titillating smile. "Leave." "Yes, young master." As the voice fell, the songstress and dancers took their leaves. The room felt empty. Only a guard remained half-kneeling by the couch. "What is the matter?" The guard dutifully reported, "Young master, we have found something. It appears that Empress Nalan is still alive." The Empress was alive? Jiuming immediately got up and straightened his posture. He had a mask on his face. Although the expressions beneath his mask could not be seen clearly, his sinister eyes felt heavy. "You said that Empress Nalan is alive? Is this true?" "Young master, a few days ago, our undercover agents had been in contact with people from the Fengyan family. It appears that the leader of the Fengyan family is related to the Empress. However, the leader's name is not Nalan Yin but Rong Yin. The Fengyan family had always been a mystery. No one knew what the name of the leader was, nor had anyone ever seen her face. They were a force that had come play out of nowhere and had piqued the interest of many. Jiuming too once sent people to investigate this mysterious Fengyan family a few years ago. Who would have known that Empress Nalan was also involved in this? Ju Yi closed his eyes. His slender fingers gently tapped on the table, and suddenly, he laughed. If Empress Nayland is still alive, and the Emperor has no knowledge of this, that means her death was planned by the Empress herself. If Empress Nayland was kidnapped, why bother letting the whole world think that she was dead? Moreover, Feng Tianyu was not that foolish. He would have discovered it by now if the matter was planned by someone. Chapter 232. If she's dead, I want to see the body. The fact that he could be kept in the dark meant that it was Nayland Yan's planning. The guard hesitated for a moment. Young master, I don't understand. Why would Empress Nayland do such a thing? Jiuming smiled coldly. The rules of Tsangyu mainland must not be defiled. Those who live in the reclusive world shall not lay their hands on those from the secular world, or else the situation in the mainland would be affected. But, since the Empress had involved those from the reclusive world, and she wants to increase her influence, then she must leave. Moreover, no one must ever know that the leader of the Fengyun family was Empress Nayland. In the end, those from the reclusive world could not restrain themselves. On the day the Empress gave birth, she was snuck into Lu Yun Kingdom. That gave her an opportunity to escape by faking her own death. Once she kept her identity hidden, she could develop her influence without care. If not, once someone caught wind of the link between the Fengyun family and Empress Nayland, those from the reclusive world would not need to hold themselves back anymore. They would have the right to deal with the Empress kin. Because the Fengyun family had overreached the secular world, she would not dare to reveal any trace before she got ahead of them. Also, the year the Fengyun family was established matched the year the Empress went missing. But I have heard that the leader of the Fengyun family went missing 10 years ago? The guard was startled. He thought of another news he had heard and continued, Young master, I have heard something. A few days ago, a lady carried a jade plate to the Fengyun family. She claimed to be the disciple of Rong Yin, the leader of the Fengyun family. And the people from the Fengyun family believed her? Jiuming's eyes grew dark. Carrying a jade plate to the Fengyun family, that meant that Rong Yin was not with her. Those people believed her over a jade plate? Young master, the people from the Fengyun family conducted an investigation on the lady. There was still Rong Yan's breath on her body. She also knew Rong Yan's training method. In the mainland, some treasures could discern a person's breath. Furthermore, they could locate a person by their breath. Unless the person was too powerful, or if the breath was hidden with other treasures, one could easily be found. Although Rong Yin had gone mad, her powers still remained. The Fengyun family was unable to find her through her breath, but they could discern her breath from people who had been in contact with her. That was why Rong Yin had kept herself in the back mountains of the Tang family without ever stepping out these 10 years. Chapter 233. If she's dead, I want to see the body too. The Fengyun family must never get involved with feng-ruching. Or else, with the Fengyun family coming into the picture, she as the daughter of Empress Nayland would have surpassed Fan Tao from the secular world. That would give them a reason to act. That girl wouldn't come to see me. I had better pay her a visit, or else that ungrateful girl will forget me. Jiuming's lip curled upward to reveal a smile. He stood up and adjusted his sleeves to exit the pleasure boat. Squeak, squeak. Feng-ruching saw a cute white spirit rabbit in front of her as she emerged from her closed-door cultivation. It gently tugged at her sleeves with its paw. The spirit rabbit was cute and bouncy. Its azure eyes were like gemstones. You have reached Tier 2? Feng-ruching was taken aback. The spirit herbs did not only work on humans. They were very potent on spirit beasts as well. Spirit rabbits originally had lower levels. What was once a Tier 1 mid-level spirit beast had evolved into Tier 2 in mere months. Just a little bit more before reaching Tier 3. Feng-ruching glanced through the medium before pulling out a Grade 3 purple carrot and tossing it to the spirit rabbit. Eat this, and you will reach Tier 3. The spirit rabbit was on the brink of leveling up. It would just take a little help from the outside to break through. Squeak, squeak. A huge carrot. The spirit rabbit was ecstatic as it held the purple carrot. Also, get all the spirit beasts to see me. I have been too busy lately and haven't had the time to check on everyone's progress. One could consume spirit herbs and herbal dishes without limit in the princess manor. The spirit beast's strength could progress very quickly. Squeak, squeak. The spirit rabbit squeaked as it carried the huge carrot and scurried away. Feng Ruching stretched her arms and walked toward the courtyard. In a few moments, all the spirit beasts filled the courtyard to answer Feng Ruching's call. An earth bear, a purple sable, a hawk, a red fox, a griffin, another red fox one, a four-armed ape, and 2 spirit rabbits. The 2 spirit rabbits were the weakest at Tier 2. The purple sable, the hawk, and the four-armed ape had each achieved Tier 3. The griffin and the fox were at intermediate Tier 3. The earth bear, still the strongest amongst the beasts, was at advanced Tier 3. To save some trouble, just think of the spirit rabbits as Tier 2 beasts, while the rest of them were Tier 3. It looks like you didn't skip my spirit herbs. Feng Ruching smiled while stroking her chin. The beasts were startled and almost fell to their knees after hearing her words. Feng Ruching had earlier cleared up a piece of farmland. Other than their daily ration of the divine spirit fruits, any herbs that grew on the land were free for consumption and were administered by the wolf butler. Therefore, they did not steal them. What are you all afraid of? It is a good thing to improve your strength. Why would I blame you all? Feng Ruching pulled out a pot of spirit wine. Hawk, take this spirit wine to Grandpa. It's been 2 months and his stock is probably running low. The rest of you stay back. I have something to say. The hawk let out a gentle call. After collecting the pot of spirit wine, it thrust upward and disappeared in the blue skies. The earth bear thoughtfully pulled a chair from the room and placed it in front of Feng Ruching. The four-armed ape carried a plate of fruits with one hand. A pair of hands was peeling the fruits while the other hand was placing the fruits into Feng Ruching's mouth. Chapter 234. If she's dead. I want to see the body. 3-2 spirit rabbits bounced onto Feng Ruching's shoulders and massaged her back with their tiny paws. The red fox leaped into Feng Ruching's arms and covered her thighs like a fur blanket to the raging jealousy of other beasts. The rest of the spirit beasts stood below her attentively, waiting to be tamed. Tang Yin was greeted with this bizarre scene as she came along with Qian Ning. Her eyes grew big as she pointed at the young lady sitting on the chair. She was shocked beyond speech. What was going on here? This was absurd. Feng Ruching looked like a noble and domineering queen overlooking her subjects. Somehow, the young lattice cold eyes, relaxed postures, and even the furrow of her brows hit her hard. It was such a strange feeling. She had never felt that way before. It was as if she were possessed. You're here again? Feng Ruching raised her eyebrows and smiled without a care as she saw the stunned Tang Yin. It looks like you really are infatuated with me. If you weren't a girl, I would have thought you have bad intentions. The girl must have had some strong background, yet she did nothing even after being here for so long. She was persistently trying to get into the princess manor. Even after being thrown out a few times, she still managed to sneak inside. Tang Yin regained her composure. Her delicate face went red. She stared at Feng Ruching in anger. Who has bad intentions toward you? I'm not that kind of person. She was here for the state preceptor. She would not have had any bad intentions on a woman. Oh, Feng Ruching replied calmly. Beery, throw them out. Growl. Beery growled, went up, and grabbed Tang Yin and Qianning by the collar. It dragged them to the courtyard and abruptly threw them beyond the walls before returning to await further orders. Beyond the wall, Tang Yin, a little disheartened, squatted down and wondered, why can't I get through to this woman? Qianning pulled Tang Yin from the ground. Little lady, why don't you just admit that you had other intentions toward her? Tang Yin was speechless. Qianning thought she had the best solution. She continued with her advice. Little lady, we just need to sneak into the princess manor. Clearly, your seduction technique hasn't worked. Why not just leap into her arms, accuse her of improper touching when she embraces you, and make her take you in? Really? Tang Yin's eyes lit up. Qianning, how could you be so clever? Qianning smugly raised her head. Of course, I have been reading countless books on scheming just to find a way for you to stay. How can I make Feng Ruching embrace me? It's easy. I have read from the book that you just have to feign tripping down. She will hold your fall for sure. That is when you accuse her. The book is never wrong. Tang Yin's eyes lit up even brighter. 'Tis a good idea. She must get into the manor by any means, even if she were to use up all her live's wit. It appeared that she could already imagine Feng Ruching carrying her into the manor in a wedding chariot. Her lips curled up and eventually, it broke into an evil laugh. In the courtyard, Feng Ruching breathed a sigh of relief since she was not bothered by the lowly anymore. A little headache made her rub her temples. I've got to sneak some magic arrays in. Since the little girl didn't do anything, she would not punish her too harshly. Still, the world is a dangerous place. It is good to always be on the lookout. Chapter 235. To the forest of spirit beasts. Feng Ruching regained her focus. Her eyes fell on a group of spirit beasts. The snow wolf has not returned. I am worried about them. I will go to the forest of spirit beasts today. Beery will handle all matters in the house while I'm away. Grunt. Beery's could not contain its excitement. Ever since the snow wolf had left, Beery had finally risen to the rank of an acting butler from a lowly attendant. However, Feng Ruching paused for a moment. Beery, my two girls are in your care. I want them to hit the Earth Warrior tier fast. Master, you are putting Beery in a pickle. What talent stack do they have? To get to the level of an Earth Warrior tier in a short amount of time. You really are putting me in a Beery one difficult situation. Of course, Feng Ruching understood Lu Li and Qing Ling's innate abilities. The reason why she didn't help them cultivate before was because they had no natural gifts. The cultivation would be a waste of time. The reason she went to buy grade 3 spirit herbs from the herb store was for their sake. She had concocted an herbal dish that would improve their physique and enhance their natural abilities, but it would need grade 3 spirit herbs. However, the herb store took 2 months to procure the spirit herbs. Feng Ruching was in a bind. If she had known she could reach the level of a true warrior in a short amount of time, there would be no need to go to the herb store. Since she had bought them, it would be a waste not to use them. At least there was still value to the grade 3 herbs. With the help of the herbal dish, the two girls' skill would be remarkably improved. Ape, I will give you a recipe later. Go and make the herbal dish. Feed them to the girls daily. They may start cultivating after 10 days. Eek eek. The ape screeched as it receives the recipe from Feng Ruching. As for the other beasts, while I'm not around, take care of the herbs behind the mountain. Feng Ruching rose from her chair. She stretched out lazily. Her eyes were a little heavy. She was still concerned. The snow wolf should have returned a few days ago, yet it had not. This made her anxious. She needed to go to the forest of spirit beasts no matter what. I'll go with you. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from the side. Feng Ruching was surprised. As she turned to look, she saw a young, delicate, and pretty face. He had a bright smile on his face. Even the scar on his face was aesthetically pleasing. You are going to the forest of spirit beasts. I will go with you. With me around, you will be in safe hands. Feng Ruching was taken aback. Chainer, where have you been these few days? I saw a woman constantly paying you a visit. I didn't want to see any outsiders, so I didn't step out of the room. His fingers pointed at his scars. There was coldness in his eyes as he looked downward. Feng Ruching knew Qin Chin's character by heart. The very few times when he went outside was with her. When she was not around, he would not even look at outsiders. Tang Yin's constant visits lately meant that he would shut himself in the room. Let's go then. Feng Ruching lightly smiled. With Qin Chin around, she felt very relaxed. After delegating her matters, Feng Ruching left with Qin Chun. Not long after his departure, a set of purple Changshan one materialized out of thin air. Standing against the wind, its exquisiteness was menacing. Where's the girl? Chapter 236. Tang Family. Tang Shan I Luli raised her head to see a silver-faced man levitating in the air. She had never seen the boss of level 1 before. Even when running errands for Feng Ruching, she had only met the elders. But as she saw the mask on his face, there was a sense of comprehension beneath her eyes. Young Master Jiu? Zhu Ming looked at the girl beneath him. His voice was cold. Where's Feng Ruching? Young Master Jiu. Our princess has gone to the forest of spirit beasts. The forest of spirit beasts? Jiu Ming's eyebrows furrowed subconsciously. He paused for a moment and asked, when will she be back? I am not sure. It will probably take a few days. Luli really didn't know when Feng Ruching will return. It should take a few days at least. After hearing this, Jiu Ming immediately lifted his sleeves and left. His magenta silhouette disappeared under the skies. Shortly after his departure, a tiny head popped out from the courtyard next door. The little girl had skin smooth like eggshell. Her delicate face was like those of a clay doll, her eyes dark like jewels. She was exquisitely beautiful. She went to the forest of spirit beasts? Tang Yin pondered for a moment. If she had left the house, there would be no reason to stay. Furthermore, she needed to observe her in close distance. Qianning, let us go to the forest of spirit beasts as well. Qianning was walking out, but stopped dead in her tracks upon hearing this. She turned her head. Little lady, what did you say? The forest of spirit beasts. That was a place of extreme danger. With Liddy lattice cultivation, she would be looking for trouble. Besides, if she were to encounter powerful spirit beasts, there was no way she could ensure her safety. No questions, Feng Ruching has gone to the forest of spirit beasts. We must catch up to her. Tang Yin did not care for Qianning's whining. She held her hands and ran for the city gate. The forest of spirit beasts, located outside the imperial city. The terrain was rough, and the roads were perilous. But the forest now was filled with an air of mystique. Feng Ruching was tightly holding a jade pendant. Her eyes were dark and heavy. It felt as if a powerful wave was about to suddenly hit. Even Qin Chun, who was following behind her, noticed. Qing Qing. He walked in front of her and saw the pendant in her hand. The word Tang was distinctly carved on the pendant. That pendant. I've seen that before. That is the pendant Tang Zi was always carrying. Feng Ruching clenched the pendant tightly. Her face was clouded in distress. Chapter 237. Tang Family, Tang Shan 2 Master. I have located the snow wolf. Good. Feng Ruching took a deep breath. Once the snow wolf was located, they could get to Tang Zi and the rest. Chainer, I know where the snow wolf is. Let's go there now, she said coldly as she recomposed her thought, her eyes slightly sunken. The spring water was dyed red in blood. There was a group in front of the spring. Right in front of them were a bloodied snow wolf and a heroic-looking girl. She looked composed. Tang Zi, I really never thought I would find you here. Standing right in front of them was a middle-aged man with a cold smile. The corners of his lips curled up cynically. His eyes were filled with belittlement and ridicule. 20 years. This woman had gone missing for 20 whole years. If he had not been to the forest of spirit beasts to run some errand, he would have never found her. Tang Zi wiped the blood off of the corners of her lips. Since encountering the man, she had led the rest to escape for the past few days. In the end, he still caught up to them. Tang Shan, I have nothing to do with your Tang family since 20 years ago. Why do you still relentlessly pursue me? Hee. Tang Shan's voice brought chills. Because you are Tang Zi, a woman abandoned by the Tangs. I couldn't care less about the grade 2 herbs in your hands, but an abandoned woman like you have no rights to keep spirit herbs. If you hand me those grade 2 spirit herbs and the snow wolf, I will let you go. Although grade 2 herbs have little effect on him, his son needed them. Even though there were many grade 2 herbs in the Tang family, but to divide the herbs amongst so many people meant that each one of them got only a very little amount of the herbs. Also, the advanced level tier 3 snow wolf could seal a contract with his son. At least Tang Zi was useful. He could take many things from her. You must be dreaming. Tang Zi glared at Tang Shan furiously. I am no longer a Tang family member since 20 years ago. Don't even think about getting anything from me. 20 years ago, she was heavily wounded and was banished from the Tang family. It was Empress Nailin who had saved her. The iron-blooded troop was founded since. Her life was saved by the Empress. She would never let the Empress down in this life. Ha ha ha. Tang Shan let out a bewildered laugh. His face was fierce. It appears that you were intent on making an enemy out of me. I wanted to let you off since you were once family, but now, don't blame him for her stubbornness. Aru. The snow wolf howled angrily. Its eyes were filled with redness as it angrily glared at Tang Shan. The glare served as a warning. Its owner gave it the task of safeguarding the iron-blooded troop. Therefore, it could never, ever let these people kill its master's servants. Not in front of it. This snow wolf is fierce enough. I'm sure my son will like it. Tang Shan was not enraged by the snow wolf's ferociousness. His lips curled up and smiled coldly. His ridiculing gaze fell upon Tang Zi. At that moment, an aura exclusive to those of Spirit Warrior tier exploded in the air. The whole atmosphere went dark. Tang Zi looked bad. She had just reached the level of Spirit Warrior tier a few days ago. She had even finished her mission given by the princess and was on her way back to the Imperial City. She did not expect to stumble upon Tang Shan on her way back. Tang Zis glanced at the snow wolf before looking back at the defeated Tier 3 spirit beasts. There was a hint of kindness to the curve of her lips. Chapter 238. Tang Family. Tang Shan 3. Nobody knew how the snow wolf managed to persuade these Tier 3 beasts into joining. They had not had the chance to live a good life yet, but still followed him into such a predicament. Snow wolf, take them and escape. I will hold him off. The snow wolf howled. It seemed to resist Tang's words. Although the great wolf butler was quite cowardly, for divine spirit fruit's sake, no, for the sake of its duties and responsibilities, it could never leave Tang Zi behind. Tang Zi, don't waste your efforts. Once I, Tang Shan, have set my eyes upon something, nothing will ever escape. Tang Shan laughed coldly. The other Tier 3 spirit beasts are still low level. My son has no use for them. But my subordinates haven't got any spirit mounts yet. They shall be presented to them as rewards. One sentence and fate of all the spirit beasts were sealed. Tang Zi paled. She was no longer related to the Tang family, yet these people shamelessly would not let her go. Tang Shan, is your Tang family now a band of highwaymen? Strong-arming other people's spirit beasts? Tang Zi gritted her teeth. Also, there's a rule in the reclusive world. You are not to lay your hands on people from the secular world. Have you forgotten about this? Tang Shan laughed coldly. The blood of the Tang family flows in you, yet you would not give up your possessions of the Tang family. Instead, you kept them for yourselves. That is in itself wrong. I am just taking back what belongs to the Tang family. Where is the fault in that? Have you forgotten that I was banished by the Tang family? So what? I will tell others that you are still a member of the Tang family. Who dares to stop me, the keeper of the Tang family order? Tang Shan was unfazed. With each step, he was closing in on Tang Zi. Tang Zi now had nowhere to run. Behind her were her comrades, who had stayed with her through thick and thin. These spirit beasts are not owned by me. Do whatever you like to me, but do not touch the others. Tang Shan glanced at Tang Zi coldly. His smile grew even more cynical. In fact, he knew from the start that the snow wolf had already sealed a contract with someone else. However, the energy from the contract did not belong to Tang Zi. But it did not matter. He had his own ways to erase the power of the contract. Without the contractual bond, the spirit beast would be his son's. Tang Zi, I couldn't give a damn what position they hold in the secular world, but I can see that these beasts are already your subjects. With such a relationship, I have the rights to lay my hand on you. Tang Shan was raising his hands slowly. As for these spirit beasts, they too belong to the Tangs. Boom! A surge of energy shot out in Tang's direction. Bam! A loud noise crackled and Tangzi took a few steps back. She landed heavily on her back on the old tree behind her. A foul taste gushed through her throat as if she were about to cough blood. She desperately held it back. She would rather die than to give up in front of the Tangs. Tangzi raised her sword. The few days of fleeing had used up all her energy. Even her hands were shivering while holding the sword. But still, she clutched the handle tightly. Her sharp, shimmering blade was pointed at Tang Shan. 20 years ago, no one would listen to me. They pushed all their wrongdoings to me. I was already injured, and yet they still cast me away from the Tang family. I had to fend for myself. Tangzi smiled slightly. Tangzi, had never done anything wrong to the Tang family, but no one believed me. It happened before, and now it is happening again. You people called me a traitor of the Tang family. Now, I shall leave the Tang family for good, not because the Tang family doesn't want me. It's because I do not yearn to be part of the Tang family. Her eyes were bone-chilling. Also, you are not the master of this wolf. You have no right to touch it. Swoosh. Tangzi leaped in front of Tang Shan as he was approaching the snow wolf. The blade in her hand created a strong gust of wind as she raised her sword to attack. Gales were blowing. Thrash. Tang Shan nonchalantly let out a cold chuckle. He raised his hand and let out an explosive sound. The winds from his palm hit Tangzi in the chest and made her fall to the ground like a crashing meteor. Oh, whoa. The snow wolf's eyes were red. The master had asked it to safeguard the iron-blooded troop. Yet, it had allowed Tangzi to be injured. As if he had thought of the end, the snow wolf's eyes glowed a darker scarlet. The eyes had lost their cute, innocent charm from before. There was an indescribable eeriness to them. Chapter 240. Weak, pitiful, and heart-wrenching 2 boom. Energy penetrated the top of the snow wolf's head and shot up into the sky. At this very critical juncture, the snow wolf had had a breakthrough. It evolved from a Tier 3 advanced level snow wolf into a Tier 4 snow wolf. Then, it leaped forward with its bloodthirsty mouth wide open and sunk its teeth into Tang Shan. Tang Shan furrowed his brows. He took a few steps back. A swift punch soon followed. The blow landed on the snow wolf's abdomen. Bam! The snow wolf took a strong hit to the gut. Its body landed on a tree. Instead of stopping, the snow wolf quickly leaped toward Tang Shan. Tangzi coughed a few times. Her body staggered. The other members of the family, too, sprung into action and had them surrounded. It would be difficult to make an escape even if they grew wings. The spirit beasts that were persuaded by the snow wolf had no intentions of serving the human in the first place. They were willing to follow the snow wolf only because the divine spirit fruits were too tasty. But these people wanted to make them their mounts? The spirit beasts looked at the group of people who had their swords drawn. The beasts let out angry roars and charged at the group of people without holding back. Tangzi, Ling Yun tightly grasped the sword in her hand. No matter how it ends, we, iron-blooded troop, shall live and die together. What they feared was never death. What they feared was to be unable to get on the battlefield again. Now that it had come down to this, the iron-blooded troop shall unite as one without the fear of death. Good. Tangzi looked at the band of sisters who had been sticking by her side for years. She raised the long sword in her hand and charged into the battlefield. Blood once again dyed the spring water red. It was dazzlingly bright against the sunlight. The snow wolf was the first to be overpowered. After all, it was a creature that had just recently reached Tier 4 and stood no chance against Tang Shan. It could only endure so many beatings with its thick skin. Tangzi did not go to the snow wolf's assistance. Instead, she used the sword in her hand to kill the members of the Tang family. Tang Shan was the only person who was stronger than Tangzi on the scene. The others were no match against Tangzi. Tang Shan was about to continue teaching the snow wolf its lesson when he suddenly noticed that he had lost half his men in the short amount of time. Did this happen because he was delayed by the snow wolf? Tang Shan was stunned. As he turned his head, he saw the snow wolf smiling weirdly. Yes, it smiled. Tang Shan realized something after seeing the snow wolf smile. As if struck by lightning, his body trembled uncontrollably. The snow wolf had been looking at him in ridicule. Out of spite, he did not kill the snow wolf immediately, but instead tormented it. He thought that Tangzi wouldn't be able to move heedlessly with him around. Hood knew that she had killed many of his men in a short time. "You guys did this on purpose," said the furious Tang Shan as he gritted his teeth. The snow wolf's smile grew even weirder. "After all, you have never intended for us to leave with our lives in the first place. Then we shall kill whomever we can. All you old men who wanted to rob us of the divine spirit fruits will not leave unharmed." This was also why Tangzi did not help. Since they were all going to die, why not kill as much as they could? Even if she had worked together with the snow wolf, they were still no match for Tang Shan. Only by doing so could they inflict maximum damage on the Tangs. "The damned snow wolf, he'll kill you." Tang Shan's eyes were red. If not for the snow wolf's taunt, if not because his anger made him focus his eyes on the beaten snow wolf, he would have been able to notice what had been going on around him. Chapter 241. Weak, pitiful, and heart-wrenching. 3. These people must die. Killing his men was like punching him in the face. He would not stand for it. At first, the snow wolf was pleased. However, its heart skipped a beat when it saw Tang Shan furiously charging at it. "We're finished. This guy is really pissed off now." In actual fact, it was still afraid of death. The snow wolf, therefore, straightened its back with a carp-like motion without even looking at the middle-aged man behind. "Oh, oh, oh, catch me if you can, you bastard. The damned snow wolf, stay if you dare." Tang Shan angrily shouted. But his men were almost wiped off by Tangzi. He was not able to pursue the snow wolf and soon gave up his chase. He decided to kill Tangzi first. There will be time for the snow wolf later. Although the snow wolf had just reached Tier 4, its speed had somehow increased tremendously. It would take a few minutes to catch up to it. A few minutes was enough for Tangzi to eliminate all his men. Tang Shan gave chase to Tangzi without hesitation. Who would have known that Tangzi would start running as well? She had ran away, leaving her iron-blooded troop behind? After all, Tangzi was the only one who could escape. The rest of the iron-blooded troop was not strong enough to break through their encirclement. Tang Shan did not even stop to ponder and immediately went to chase Tangzi. As he was fast approaching Tangzi, an agonizing shriek came from behind him. Tang Shan hastily turned his head and saw a snow-colored wolf licking bloodstain off of its body. It was standing on top of the corpse of a Tang family member looking at him with a sneer. Those eyes looked at him like he was the fool. The snow wolf was now a Tier 4 wolf. If it were before, Tangzi and the snow wolf could never play Tang Shan around this way. Some of Tang Shan's men were of true warrior tier as well. He could only kill them effortlessly after reaching Tier 4. While Tang Shan was startled, Tangzi managed to escape a few more yards away. His anger turned into a fit of rage. He was now pursuing the snow wolf heedlessly. The snow wolf, after biting some members of the Tang family to death, offhandedly turned in front to flee. This time around, Tang Shan did not stop and were persistently giving chase to the snow wolf. Compared to Tangzi, the one he wanted to kill more was this snow wolf that dared to look down at him. "Oh, oh, oh." The snow wolf looked back and was terrified out of his wits. What the hell is this guy? Didn't he see Tangzi turn around? Didn't he see Tangzi killing the Tang family members? That was not what it had expected. Holy mother, I'm scared. Somebody save me. It wasn't sure if the gods had heeded the snow wolf's plea, or that the gods took pity on the snow wolf, which was more of a dog. As the snow wolf was about to be caught, and as Tang Shan's palm was about to reach him, a surge of energy suddenly shot out from a near distance. A thunderous boom exploded, and Tang Shan was directly hit. The powerful strike caused a shock wave to be emanated from around his body. As Tang Shan stumbled a few steps back after being hit, the snow wolf was finally saved. It saw the green-robed young man in the breeze. There was a striking scar on the young man's face. But standing next to the young man was a figure it had always been dreaming of. It howled as its snow-white body swooped toward Feng Ruqing. In a rare moment, Feng Ruqing did not kick the snow wolf away and instead opened her arms up for an embrace. Of course, the consequences were severe. Feng Ruqing had forgotten about her reduced weight. Her frame was not wide enough to accommodate the snow wolf like she used to. She was knocked a few steps backward before falling to the ground on her butt. Her bones were almost knocked out of place. But the snow wolf had no self-awareness. It licked Feng Ruqing's face with its tongue. Tears were rolling in its eyes. Weak, pitiful, and heart-wrenching. Chapter 242. Shut his mouth. At first, Feng Ruqing took pity on the snow wolf. However, that knock had made her mad. No divine spirit fruit for a day. Like a bolt from the blue, the snow wolf was dumbfounded. It did not understand what wrong it had done to have mastered deducting its divine spirit fruit. Fortunately, it had kept away some divine spirit fruits for times like this. Who are you people? Tang Shan's face turned cold. He set his eyes upon Qin Chen's face. To him, amongst the crowd, that young man made him feel most threatened. Feng Ruqing blinked at the snow wolf and signaled it to stand aside. The snow wolf obediently rolled to the side. It found a tree stump and sat down like a house dog. Its wolf tail wagged, so cute and fluffy. Tang Shan was speechless. Where has your dignity gone? Where was the savagery in your plans just now? How did this snow wolf, brimming with pride, turn into a dog in the blink of an eye? And acting all cute? Don't you feel ashamed? Who are you guys really? Tang Shan asked this with gritted teeth and anger in his eyes as nobody replied to him. Feng Ruqing's eyes fell upon Tang Zi's pale face. There were still fresh blood stains at the corners of her mouth. The blood was still wet, and it made Feng Ruqing's eyes red. She still didn't answer Tang Shan's question. She streaked to land in front of Tang Zi in her red gown. Tang Zi was confused by the unknown but familiar face. For a moment there, her brains crashed. Who are you? She could only utter these few words after getting a hold of herself. She could not recognize Feng Ruqing as she had changed drastically within these couple of months. Those features, that breath, they felt strangely familiar to her. After looking at how the snow wolf reacted toward her, she had an intuition. But she felt that it was too incredible. She could not believe it. Don't talk if you're wounded. Feng Ruqing furrowed her brows, and there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. She asked Fu Chun to take out a blood-red fruit from the medium and passed it to Tang Zi. Eat this. Boom. The familiar voice was like a lightning bolt exploding in Tang Zi's mind. Her mind went blank. She stared blankly at the young girl in front. She probably could not have recognized Feng Ruqing by face alone, but her voice had been deeply engraved in her mind. She could never forget it. Thus, when Feng Ruqing opened her mouth, her intuition was proven. Princess. Princess. The young girl shining brilliantly in front of their eyes was their master, Feng Ruqing. None of the iron-blooded troop could believe it. How did the princess become so skinny in just 2 months? No, she was still a bit chubby by normal standards. But compared to how she was before, she was astonishingly skinny. Tang Zi was still in shock. She had yet to regain her composure. Feng Ruqing did not want to delay any further. She gently placed the red fruit near Tang Zi's lips. The fruit was very small, almost like a grape. It was easily pushed into Tang Zi's mouth. She took a bite subconsciously. The sweet nectar filled her mouth and carried a thick scent of spirit flavor. The pain in her chest greatly subsided. That was a spirit herb? Only spirit herbs could produce such great results. Tang Shan appeared disdained at first, but after he saw Feng Ruqing taking out the fruit, he was astounded. Even his breath grew rapid. Is that a grade 3 herbal fruit? Chapter 243. Shut his mouth too. Moreover, the herbal fruit could even heal spirit warrior tear injuries? Tang Shan took a few quick glances. There was darkness underneath his eyes. It seemed that Feng Ruqing did not see his eyes. Her eyes turned toward the members of the iron-blooded troop. Those who are injured may take an herbal fruit from me. If the herbal fruit could heal the injuries of Tang's caliber, it would work even better on the others. But they too knew the value of an herbal fruit. The master could have kept them for her own future use. Wouldn't it be a waste to give it to them? As such, the members of iron-blooded troop were a bit hesitant. No one dared to take the fruit. Feng Ruqing gently closed her eyes. You are all my girls. Our number shall never change from the day you girls pledged your allegiance to me, not one less. As valuable as herbal fruits are to me, they don't even come close to your lives. She did not dawdle any longer. She knew that they would not take the fruits. Therefore, she took out more fruits and placed them in Tang's hands. Take these and feed them. Give priority to the wounded. Today, everyone must leave here without a single scratch. Don't even bring a single scar back to the city. The crowd trembled. The young girl's crisp but unshakable voice was like a hand tugging at the strings in their hearts. She said that the value of herbal fruits didn't come close to their lives. Even in those days when the Empress brought them down to the battlefield and stuck by their side, she had never said such things before. Ling Yuan looked blankly at the young girl. Only then she realized that she had undergone a major transformation in the short period of 6 months. She had become so brilliant that it was hard to look her in the eyes. What is your relationship with Tangzi? Tang Shan's eyes fell on the herbal fruits in Feng Ruqing's hands. Wickedness filled his eyes. Feng Ruqing looked back at Tang Shan, smiling coldly. She's mine. Don't you know that Tangzi was a traitor? She had betrayed the Tang family before. She will betray you in the future as well. Tang Shan's voice was like a sledgehammer pounding on Tang's heart. She anxiously lifted her head to look at Feng Ruqing. Her eyes were filled with tension, sorrow, and despair. At first, everyone in the Tang family did not trust her just because of a person's words. Those who had promised to protect her too did not trust her at all. Everyone treated her like a traitor. If it weren't because the elder wanted to spare her life, those people would have never let her leave the Tang family. But still, those people laid their hands on her during her exile from the Tang family and injured her. That had taken a toll on her cultivation. She was afraid that Feng Ruqing too would abandon her, that she would treat her as a traitor and throw her out of the imperial city. She knew very well the spits and nails that came with being accused as the traitor. If she could not prove her innocence, she would be a traitor in everyone's eyes. Feng Ruqing calmly looked at Tang Shan. Her eyes were serene, but deep inside, she was burning with anger. Traitor. So that was what Tangzi had to go through all these while. Even now, those who did not believe her and accused her still dared to find her. I do not know what happened to Tangzi last time, but Feng Ruqing smiled cynically, ridicule in her smile. If I condemned her just by listening to your few words, wouldn't that be too pitiful on her part? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.